Thank you for tuning in to the Natty News Daily podcast. This episode is brought to you in part by our sponsor, Core Nutritionals. You can check out corenutritionals.com for all your supplement needs and use code Natty News Daily at checkout to save 20%. Enjoy the episode.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Natty News Daily. We got James and Dan on the mic tonight. Leroy is off doing, I don't know, I guess he just had a kid, being a father, all that fun stuff. So he was unable to make it, but we've got none other than Chris Hollingsworth on the other end here. If you're unfamiliar with the name, that is completely fine because you're going to find out tonight, right? So Chris is, and he's going to fill in the details, promoter with the NPC Natural. So this might be a little bit of a hot episode. People might want to tune in. So I'm going to turn it right over to you, Chris. Let's hear a little bit about yourself, how you got into the sport. Let's let it roll.
I mean, I'm an old man now, so I think I've been involved in this sport since y'all were in training wheels there. But I grew up as an athlete. I played football and wrestling the whole nine, and then always had weight issues, always been just that thick Italian kid. And then once the sports died off in high school after I graduated, the weight just skyrocketed to 300. And I'm only 5'6", right? I'm not a big guy. And I lost all the weight eventually, and the whole story on that. But I asked the trainer, I said, now what? He said, "We mean now what? Now what do I do?" And he's like, now you just maintain it. And that just didn't register to me as something to do. Like, you always have to have something we're going towards. And that's where I found powerlifting. I was like, I didn't know anything. I see the guy picking the bar up off the ground. I was like, what do you do with that? You just pick it up. I go, you just pick it up. And it was like, we lived at the top of the hill, and my mom had a creek at the bottom of the hill, and she wanted those rocks from the bottom to the top. So at a young age, we had to, we call country strong. So I go over there and I pick up 405 like it's nothing, but it just progresses like that. I come up through the Gold's Gym ranks. Mike Valentino, I would call, if there's ever a mentor, he would be my mentor as IFBB Pro. But he was the owner of what we were the third largest Gold's Gym franchise in the world. Addition to his gyms, he was also the chairman for the NPC of North Carolina. So, I worked on the corporate level with him. And, my goal with the gyms was to make sure that there was continuity of the brand throughout all the locations. And then after I did my gym things for him, he brought me in and started doing the bodybuilding show things and the flyers, the marketing, and this and that. And we just started taking a look at what is happening in our gyms, what's happening in our shows, and just trying to making it make sense. And this is back in 04, 5, and 6. And I was like, there's something really neat here. And what's happening at the national level and the pro level, where I was going with him, why can't we recreate that on the state level? And looking at why people compete. I did my show, right? I think that everyone who's involved in the fitness industry, if you're going to be capitalizing on it, be in charge of it of any nature, I think you should either be brought up through it, or, ideally, I think, nothing teaches you like competing. So, I did my one show, and I got it handed to me back in 05. I got like 4th place out of 3 or so. I don't remember what the deal was. Natty, by the way. I've never I've never supplemented with anything I couldn't get off the shelf. But it just kind of progressed like that. I was involved in the events. I was creating marketing. I was doing, my one of my businesses is I'm the Pro Tan affiliate for the Southeast with Elite Performance Tanning. So we've been involved for a very long time. And my angle with the tanning was that, I don't need to promote the tanning. I need to promote the show. So I was always working with our promoters and what all throughout the years, and what could we do to make your event better? And again, marketing and vendors and this and that and 5 other things. I was unfortunately fortunate, or whatever, about 6 years ago, a buddy of mine passed away, Dennis Holst, with the NPC Upstate Classic. And for about 10 years, I've been creating his marketing. And that is where I got my first opportunity to be a promoter. I got to be honest with you, and I don't want to talk about it too much because anybody who knows me, it'll bring me to tears every time. I'd so much rather have him back than be promoting his show. But in daily conversations with him on the way things are, the way things should be, the way things we want them to be, kind of realized very early the best we can do is impact what we can impact. And with his show, it was with the NPC Upstate Classic, we can't do anything more than this stage. I can't impact the national stage, the pro stage, but I can have a monumental impact right here for the athletes that show up here. And that was really how we got started with it. So back in whatever the first year of of the pandemic and all that was, I took over the reins of the NPC Upstate Classic, and it's just been on from there. And um, the goal for us, and I ripped this off of Gold's Gym, right? With Gold's Gym, we were trying to create the ultimate fitness experience. With the tanning, I say we're trying to create the ultimate competitor experience. Everyone competes for whatever reason they want to. When I first got going, I had no idea there was a next level, a national pro. Now that did not register to me, but for me, it was how do I use it to stay motivated and stay driven towards my fitness goals, to not be 300 pounds, to not have, I was an angry kid growing up. I ended up punching a tree when I was 19 years old, shattered my hand because all those issues that everyone has growing up, dad took off, girl broke. I mean, all the stuff. And I tell you, the pine trees it's a soft wood, right? But it's not a soft tree. So it was the day after I had surgery on my hand, and I have arthritis to it. Like, every time the temperature changes, I have arthritis, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But that was my aha moment. That's when that light bulb went off to say, we've got to do something different. And that's where I found, strength sports and bodybuilding and all that. So, over the summer, I've been promoting the NPC Upstate Classic for whatever. I think we're on our 5th year. I'm on 5th year of promoting it directly, but I think as a whole, the show's on year 14 or 15. The chairman for the Carolinas called up and he says, "Hey, Pittsburgh, said Tyler, Pittsburgh wants to have NPC natural shows. Do you want to do South Carolina? That's where I live." I was like, "No, if we're going to do it, I want both. I want North and South because we operate the Carolinas as one collective unit. And as if we're going to do it, I want to do it my way." Because like to say that I'm not in the business of bodybuilding. I'm in our furniture store right now. I'm a realtor. I sell commercial outdoor furniture. We make our money elsewhere. My goal with the bodybuilding shows is to create something cool. Is to I worked with rec league ball with Dixie Youth Baseball, Little League. I think a lot of people know. And it always seemed like the bulk of everything was focused on that marginal percent that's going to go to that next level. And that's fantastic, right? We want to create winners. We want to create champions. But what about the other 95%? Can we not make sure that they have an unbelievable, fantastic experience? So just after almost 20 years in the industry, we're 2004 right now, or 2024. So I've been involved since 03, 04, somewhere in that time frame. So we're going on 20, 21 years in it, and say, all right, well, what do I want to accomplish? What's my why? Why do I do this? And ultimately, it's just to create something cool for that athlete that even if they do it one time, if they could walk away and say, man, that was awesome. I'm never going to do it again, right? I'm a one and done. Never going to do it again, but it was awesome. They're running around, they're singing the praises. They feel like a valued customer. I thought it was funny. I already took it out to the car. I read this book years ago called the customer service mentality and methodologies. And I followed a lot of that over the years. And I hadn't read the book in about 5-10 years. So I bought it again. But again, trying to create a positive customer experience. It's what they are. You're not James from the gym. You're not Daniel from the nutrition store that I know. You're, when you come to the show, you've overcome something mentally, emotionally, or physically to get there, just as everyone has. And you're not an athlete at that point. You're not a competitor. You're a customer. So how can we create a positive customer experience? And that's all I'm trying to accomplish. And I got to be honest with you, I can hang my hat on this. After this is the trophy for the NPC Upstate Classic. I'm not sure if everyone knows who Spud is. Spud Inc. If you watch Strongman, all the yellow equipment. Spud's metal fabricator, K. Riley Designs, makes that trophy for me. It is 40 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal. That's what we give out at the NPC Upstate Classic. So, if we're going to be doing these new natural shows, I saw, you guys posted the things. I saw all the different comments and feedback and, criticisms. Oh, they're going to cheap out and this and that. No, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it the right way. I'm going to do it my way. And that's why I wanted to do both of them. I called Williams Strength. They make the Prowler. They're here in Columbia, South Carolina. They make the Prowler. They make the equipment for Elite FTS. And I walked in one day and I said, take a 25-pound plate and a 5-pound plate and weld them together and just make a trophy. I think that would be cool, different, unique. And they said, no, we'll do you one better. So, I would say at this point, between these two trophies, we have I'll hang my hat on it and I'll take it to the grave. We have the two best trophies in amateur bodybuilding. So that's it. That's my rant and ramble about it.
I like it. I feel like there was a lot of different things we could come back to on that. First off, I think
it's
your
ADD kicking in.
Yeah. I think your story mimics so many others that we've interviewed. It mimics some of our own stories, right? Like it very much resonates with me as being like the athlete and like the what next mentality and like having to be moving towards something. And I like that because, and this is maybe some of my biases showing through, it humanizes what you guys are doing. And I think so much of what in the natural community has heard is like the NPC is the boogeyman, right? Like they're like this scary entity. It's just another federation. There's some different things at play, but when it comes down to it, you are a person promoting a show, trying to do a lot of what a lot of other promoters are trying to do, put on a great experience for the athletes and value the athletes, or at the very least, that's what we hope most of the promoters are trying to do, right? So just air that first. But yeah, so Dan, do you have anything before we like dive right into it? Because I know that was a lot.
I'm sure I do, but carry on.
Yeah. And we could get
into, I give you all of it.
Yeah. We could get into like 100 different rabbit holes, but let's focus on the show you just did, right? We see the trophies, those are great. How did it go? Because this is what people want to know, right? Like we've seen it, we've talked about it. Now it's coming to fruition. Everyone wants to know what happened. What about the testing? What about athlete turnout? What about the quality of the shows? You're the one to ask. So let's hear it.
No, it was a good first show. I had some kind of numbers that I wanted to be at to be able, because again, I didn't collect a dime of sponsor dollar off of this, because I tell the sponsors, I was like, I can't promise you anything more than gratitude and a handshake. So I don't want to take your money off this. Obviously it takes money to do all this. It was 100% self-funded. Most of the giveaways that we did, a lot of the giveaways we did, we actually bought all the belts and whatnot, because we wanted the athlete to have it. We didn't hit that number that I was looking for, which was 50. Again, first year show. All right. So, obviously NPC is known for being, obviously, it is what it is. We are, I would say the gold standard. We are what everyone models themselves after as far as the bodybuilding component. Now, how they do the other operational things is them. But from a bodybuilding perspective, we obviously we're the NFL. We are the, that league. But as a first year show, we could always expect a little bit lesser number. And now all of a sudden we've got the natural component. What we had to do was identify existing NPC athletes that will meet that natural criteria and that can pass those tests. And then we have to prove ourselves to the other, to athletes from other organizations, because, they're looking, they're watching, and they want to know, hey, what's going on? So, I was happy though, because, spirits were high. I'm very quick to get very emotional, both good and bad. But it's nothing more than an honor when somebody chooses to participate in one of my events, because you could have been doing all kinds of other things with your time, energy, effort, and money, but you chose to do this. So I ended up having a conversation. The first person who comes up to me, he came in early for check-ins, 2 hours early, by the way, William DeVito. This kid, he competes the week prior at an OCB show, and he does extraordinarily well. He wins the whole thing, and he comes in and he says, man, I can't tell you. And he started telling me his story and staying motivated, the whole thing. And I get choked up, because, man, that is what we're trying to accomplish here. So I was very, very happy with the turnout. The spirits were high. We ended up with 32 bodies with 73 total entries, because, with crossovers and all. And everyone, again, it's just, everyone had a good time, and I'm happy with that. At the end of the show, the tests were sent off. We had the nurse, she did all the testing, and we got it all bagged up, and it's all sent off. And if unfortunate, if something comes back negative or positive, whatever, if something comes back the way we don't want it to come back, then we'll have to address it at that point. We opted to do the urinalysis test. We find that to be one of the more reliable ones. If a polygraph isn't allowed in court, but again, race your race, to each their own. Yeah. So again, with, I saw the comments, and I saw the criticisms. I would say feedback is, has some level of credibility to it, but I don't know where I was going with that. And it's the ADD kicking in.
Yeah.
But we want to ask our athletes, what do you want to see next? We're creating this for you. We're creating this for you. What's the thing that can make your experience better? And we do that every year with the NPC Upstate Classic. I sent an email, if it was your show, what would you do different? And we'll continue to mold and modify. Oh, what I was saying was, we saw the criticisms and feedback saying they're going to cheap out and this and that. We got the Don Gibson Theater in Shelby, North Carolina. It was a beautiful theater. It's a music venue. We had the nice light. We did what we can do with the resources we had available. And it's the same venue we hold 2 other established NPC shows in, including the Carolina State Championships. So as we come into Columbia, we got the first one under our belt. We learn, we see what could be done better, we see what could be done different, and then we continue on.
Okay, I like it. So, and just to clarify, so no polygraph at that show, urine analysis. Was that urine analysis of all class winners, overall winners? How'd you differentiate there?
First and second place in the open overall. But now, again, with 32 bodies, now we're talking about, we did 15, I don't remember what the number was. About half the athletes ultimately ended up getting tested, just because it was a lower number show. Taking a look through the crowd, obviously testing is there for a reason. But taking a look at our athletes, there's nobody who we could have done the randoms. You're looking at it, you're like, no one stood out to me as somebody who was, taking anything, enhancing. But of course, as soon as the show was over, we had first and second place, the open overalls, and that wasn't a lot of people, because again, it's a smaller show. We took them back, had the nurse take care of all that stuff, and went from there.
Good. And I think, again, like, that's establishing the credibility, and that's what a lot of our community wants to see, especially second place being tested too, because that's not something that always happens.
Well, it's going to continue to grow, because actually, if we look at the new guidelines, when we first got going with this and with the NPC natural shows, obviously NPC's been doing natural shows. And I say, Dave Lieberman has one of the largest natural shows in the country. I mean, he just did one a couple of weeks ago, and just insane numbers up in Ohio. NPC Midwest Natural has been going on for 8 years, but obviously, as an organization, we are a race what you brought organization. Obviously drugs are bad, don't do them, but but now, if we're going to be doing this, NPC natural, let's create official standards and guidelines on how to do it. And moving forward with the next show starting June 1. I've got it all online. I choose not to memorize things because I'll always screw something up. But on NPC Carolina Natural .com, we have got the testing guidelines, the banned substances, everything's on there. It's pretty cut and dry. As any business, it is what it is. It's a business. Will we continue to mold and modify? Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll continue to mold and modify. We'll listen to the athletes. We'll listen to the customer and say, hey, customer, what can we do different to make your world better? Will polygraph become a mandatory? If it's not in approved to go into court, then what are we talking about?
So are you not required to polygraph this year then? I thought that was with the new NPC rules that
the Ben Weeder, the pro qualifiers and the pro shows will be polygraphing.
Okay.
And I think it's one more. It's like putting a chain link fence around your lawnmower. If you really want to get that lawnmower, you're going to get it, but at least we're going to put one more obstacle in the way to hopefully weed it out. I tend to look through things through rose-colored lenses because I like to say that we bring our bodybuilders up. We are, we're house trained. And I give it all back to Mike Valentino and now Trey Bennett, who's the Carolina NPC chairman. We all got brought up through this mix that, I'd like to think that our athletes have a level of integrity. Our coaches have a level of integrity. In the Carolinas, we've got 15 events now. I've got one of them, or I've got three of them rather, three of them. But we've got 13 other non-tested events. Could somebody want to circumvent the system and come in and do one of our natural shows and do XYZ? I guess they could, but I just don't see the why. We provide 15 or 13 other opportunities that, again, I'm 40 years old, right? If your test level is supposed to be between 250 and 1100, I got mine tested last summer. I'm at 550, just walking around. I'm 550, but as we're getting older, we're seeing them drop. So as a 40-year-old guy, I can go to the doctor and if I chose to and get that replacement therapy. So a lot of the guys, we all know this. A lot of the folks are supplementing. It's not because they want to be the biggest guy on the world. They're just trying to maximize their best life. So
yeah, and I don't think you'll hear criticisms for us on that, on like the lifestyle thing. Obviously, when it comes to competition, it's a little bit different, but I think
of course, and we want to provide that level playing field. And because again, I'm 40 years old, I can go to the doctor and because I looked at it because I'm not going to be competing, and if I was going to be competing, I'm not going to compete in the natural at that time, because I said, listen, I'm going to go to the doctor, and as my natural levels are dropping, I'm having a hard time keeping the weight off, I'm having a hard time with the energy, I'm going to go get that supplementation through the doctor. And then the opportunity came through with the natural shows. I'm like, well, all right, well, if we're going to be doing it, we're all in, so we are bone stock clean.
Okay. So I think that brings up a place to pivot, but kind of talk the same thing. So you talked criticisms, right? One of the major criticisms that we saw was the length of time that there's a ban, or the system in place. So 3 years clean, supposedly, with multiple attempts at getting a clean test. What's your take on that? What's your opinion on that? Do you see that changing? Was this a way to kind of grandfather people? What do you think?
I said earlier that I've never taken something that I couldn't get off the shelf. Pro hormones used to be legal. You used to be able to go to a gym and buy, 19 NOR, 1 AD and 60XO, all that. So back in 6, 7, some odd years ago, back in 06 or 07, I took one bottle of 19 NOR, completely legal. Didn't get it from a locker room. I pulled out my credit card, I swiped it in a register with a barcode, and I bought it and I took it. All right. that mentality of like, oh, we've got to be 10 years and 7 year, all this. I took one bottle of 19 Nor. So you're telling me that that one bottle of 19 Nor 7 years later had a positive impact on my ability to grow and retain muscle? That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous statement. I'm not, I mean, you're a doctor. I'm not going to pretend to, to understand, the science of half-lives and all this and that. I was like, but, at the end of the day, the organization will set down rules and guidelines, just any other organization, WMBF, OCB, NPC, the organization will send down rules and regulations. If the customer wants to purchase our product, we have a product here for you. If it doesn't check all of your boxes, there are plenty of other amazing organizations out there. I think OCB does a good job. I've followed a lot of their promoters for years. Subsequently, after I started promoting this show, everyone blocked me on social media, but that's a whole nother argument. That's a whole nother argument. But I can't speculate on why we chose 3 versus anything else. That's it's a decision they made. Somebody higher up the chain than me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I can respect that answer, right? I mean, people obviously on the internet want to take things to the extreme when they like pick apart these things, and it's easy to sit in a chair and heck, that's what we do, right? Like on my weekly segment, I criticize everybody. But people talk about like, oh, Sean Clarita could, not take anything for 3 years and compete natural, which is crazy because he's not, like, those high athletes aren't going to do that. I think it's more common the situation that you talked about where someone took something without realizing it, and now there's a window where they just wait a little bit versus the more restrictive in some federations, like 10 years, 7 years, XYZ. So, and it's never going to be perfect. I'll give you that, right? I think there's a camp of people that want to be as restrictive as possible, and there's a camp of people that understand that there's a gray area and they're not going to agree regardless of what the rule is.
There's no one right answer to any of it. You could always come up with worst case hypotheticals. I saw one on one of the posts where I think it was the initial one where you guys announced this show. Was somebody said, oh, I can run growth from the time I'm 18 to whenever, and then all of a sudden go off and compete in a natural show. I mean, I guess you could. I mean, but why would you? I mean, we have, what's the count? Like 20 NPC natural shows, 30 maybe? I don't know what the number is. How many untested shows do we have that have all kinds of other things that will benefit the athlete, with the national qualifications and the pro card? And this, why would you do that? Why would you risk being, kicked out of an organization for whatever the number, whatever the length of term was that we have listed on the website? You can come up with crazy hypotheticals all day. I think it's ridiculous, but have fun. But just like any business, though, like I said, there's all kinds of different hamburger stands up and down the block, and you choose the hamburger stand that you want to eat your hamburgers from, and you can go to McDonald's and Wendy's if you like both what they have to offer. But if you don't like Freddy's, don't eat at Freddy's. If you like all 3, can eat at all 3. I was very happy to see that some of our winners were existing NPC athletes. I'm excited to see that one of our winners, I believe, was actually was a first-time athlete. I was very happy to see that William DeVito is now an OCB pro, and now he won the inaugural NPC North Carolina Natural Championships. So, we're going to race our race just like any athlete. We're going to do what we do. If what we're doing is not, as a consumer, as a customer, if it's not I'm speaking for me. I'm speaking for my shows, my 2 shows, 3 shows, I guess. But as far as the natural shows are concerned, my 2 shows, if something that I'm doing is not checking all of your boxes, I assure you that there is a show out there that will. And will it be from a different organization? It could be. Will it be from this organization? It could be. We just want, we want you to have the opportunity.
People can vote with their feet, and that's that, right?
If I can think that this is the best thing in the world, which it is. But if if me giving out, really cool trophies is really a deterrent from someone, and we're not going to be able to get athletes because of XYZ, then we need to mold and modify. Numbers will tell us. If we can't seem to get the ball rolling, and if the constant feedback is that, we don't, we want to see different testing standards and this and that. Well, I guess we need to look at that. But what I'd say is that so far, it's pretty down the middle. But I think if we look at a lot of the comments and whatnot on because I look at you guys' Instagram page, it's for the most part, it's positive. It's, hey, this is a great thing. This is a good thing. This is something that we've been waiting for a long time, and folks are happy. And I'm happy to be doing it, frankly, because again, it's, everyone decides what winning means to them. And winning does not always mean standing in the center of the stage, biting for a pro card. Winning sometimes just means that they have set a goal for themselves. They've overcome something mentally, emotionally, or physically to get there. They've stuck with it for a period of time. And walking across that stage to them is winning. They could have got, I was fourth. I think I competed like 7 people, right? True not in novice. Back then, we didn't have true novice. It was novice, junior, masters, and open. So novice had never been on stage before. I got 4th place out of 6 people, I think it was. And to me, I was the best thing out there. To me, that was I still have the trophy at the house. It's in the cabinet, but it's still there. To me, I won. Did I get the big trophy? Did I stand center stage? No. But I got myself back on track. I got myself in the right direction. Bodybuilding saved my life. Hopefully we could provide a platform where other folks just need that motivation to do it. And, they find, again, be it my show, Jack DeTone's show, Steve Payne's show, other organizations' show, just do it. Find what checks the most of your boxes, set the goal for yourself, and get on stage.
Yeah, I like it. And coming back to the feedback, right? You said you guys got feedback, and the Instagram, that's a biased sample, right? So let's talk the feedback you got from your first show, right? Because this is a perfect example. How are you going to modify the second show, right? Because you have another one upcoming in a couple weeks. What feedback do you get from the first show that you're going to implement for the second to show the people that you're already kind of working on these changes?
Yeah, almost, July 27 in Columbia, South Carolina, Columbia College. So we've got the South Carolina Natural Championships. For us at this point, it's really just operational things. What are giveaways that we can do better? What are ways we can level up on our awards and giveaways? Obviously, I self-financed all of this, and we were in the hole. Absolutely. I mean, hopefully my old lady doesn't see this. My wife doesn't see this, but yeah, I mean, we took a smack on this, but we're trying to build something. Williams' strength, we pick up the trophies, and they don't make trophies. They stopped production and said, hey, we'll do this thing for you. I'm like, it's awesome. So we're looking at, all right, what are the ways we can level this thing up and build up, kind of unique bases for it. Masters, want to make sure that we're awarding our masters in the best way possible, because again, everyone did their 16, 20, 24 weeks, whatever it was. Everyone paid their entry fee. Everyone bought their tanning. It doesn't matter if you're open, masters, novice, true novice, first place or last place. Everyone did their job. So how do we make sure that everyone feels welcome? They feel appreciated. They feel like a valued customer. The hero division. I told Steve Payne down in Georgia, he's a good buddy of mine for 20 years, and I lean on him, he leans on me. I said, Steve, as we're doing this, without, since we don't have a lot of, at this time, this was months and months and months ago, this is back in, mid 2023. I said, we're trying to figure out how to do this thing. So I was like, so Steve, I want our shows to be a continuation of each other. They need to run congruently. So, his Atlanta All-State Natural, our Carolina NPC naturals shows, I was like, we want to operate the same. So when he did his classes and divisions. I called the software company. I said, hey, whatever Steve did, do it. And then, I was, well, let's do the same thing. And at, probably a week later, I was like, what's this hero division? Because I guess he added a hero division. And, we had it. It was for, police, fire, military, first responders. And we had it. And, I had an athlete who said, hey, she entered and she said, hey, what are you going to do for this? Am I going to be, am I going to give a speech? Am I going to tell my story? And I was like, I completely dropped the ball on that. Absolutely. I was like, I did not follow through with that the way it best could have. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it all in. So, yes, we need to, if we're going to offer a police, fire, military division, a hero division, let's make sure that we are taking the time to get the bios from the athlete, to read the bios before they go out there, and to really celebrate them. And, again, if we're going to do it, why did we do it? We're trying to identify more wheelchair bodybuilders. I've always been a huge proponent of anything. I did a lot with Special Olympics in high school. Again, we want to do with, provide opportunity, adaptive athletes, wheelchair athletes. These guys are being told no at every turn of life. So with the NPC Upstate Classic, we have a wheelchair division. I called Nick Scott from Wheelchair Bodybuilding. And I say, Nick, if we're going to be doing these natural shows, we want to make sure that we're having the wheelchair division help us help you, help us identify these people. Let's bring them in. Wheelchair athletes at my shows will never pay. They'll always be receive free tanning. So Elite Performance Tanning, my tanning company, will at our shows will always provide the entry and the tanning for our wheelchair athletes. Speaking with Tracy Garapi, she was a national level NPC athlete. She unfortunately, and she was an avid runner, she had an accident which caused her to lose her leg just below the hip. And that is every opportunity in life to roll over and say, well, I'm done. I'm a bodybuilder and a runner. I just lost my leg. I'm out. And she said, screw that. And it was weeks later and she was back running. So, she's all of a sudden become a huge proponent for adaptive athletes. So now the question is, hey, Tracy, what do we need to do to inspire and motivate more people to utilize our shows, not to turn pro? I mean, if they want to do that, that's fine. That's an opportunity. But, how do we utilize our shows to have them live the most fulfilled life possible, to keep them motivated, driven, and, set some seemingly unattainable goals for themselves. So that's what we're looking at, moving forward with the next shows. Again, is continuing to, chip away at it, find the holes. Shelby, North Carolina does not have Krispy Kreme donuts. I was very not happy to find that out, because with the NPC Upstate Classic, I buy like 30 dozen Krispy Kreme. You get this beautiful trophy and all the things, and then we give you a dozen donuts. And it's funny because then they take this trophy and they push it aside and they're happy about the donuts. So I go, it's hilarious. But I go to Shelby and I was like, I'm going to the Dunkin' Donuts. Hey, I need 20 dozen donuts. I'll take everything you have. She's like, well, anything more than 2 dozen, you need to order 24 hours in advance. I'm like, so, all right. So next time we got to plan better to make sure our donuts are in line. But it's the little things, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. I don't have one here because, my office for the last number of months, all behind me was boxes of just giveaways and goodies and all the stuff people sent. Fat Grips sent, like we gave people Fat Grips, gave them the tactical bags, gave them a bottle of Muscle vodka. But the goodie bags, you check in at your show, and for years, goodie bags were just they ran aplenty. You check in the show and they give you this little shoestring bag full of 19 or 20 little miscellaneous samples of things, and you felt like you got the world. And if you didn't get that bag, you felt like the show skimped out on you. So we made sure we had those things, but making sure that we're continuing to add to that bag. We're pretty much panhandling, messaging companies. My wife's calling me, but panhandling to these companies saying, hey, what can you send us? Here's what we're trying to accomplish. Can you help us in this mission? making sure we're keeping the shirts leveled up, that we're not doing those cheapo Gildan G5000 t-shirts. We're doing the nice ones that people want to wear. This shirt, I said when I started this that I don't like the angle of this camera because it makes me look about 3 inches narrower than I am. But we want to make sure that they get the good shirts that make them look huge. At the next ones, I asked the girls at the gym, without trying to seem like a creep, I'm like, what shirt is that? Where did you get it from? Like, what size do you wear? Gonna buy every girl a pump cover. So now I have this cool shirt that says pump cover, making sure that the girls aren't just getting a basic guys cut t-shirt at the Upstate Classic. We give these nice crop top, ring spun, really high end things. So again, it's the small stuff for me. It's not, I'm not saying it's the right way to do it. I'm not saying it's the only way to do it. I'm not saying it's not probably full of flaws. I had the opportunity. I paid my sanction. I've been given, this privilege to do this, and we're going to race our race. I'm going to provide the experience that I want to provide for these athletes. All we're doing different compared to the Upstate Classic with our NPC Natural shows is at the end of the show, we're gonna make you pee in a cup. So
there you go.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing the comment thread after all this, because I understand I can go off on a tangent, and I'm not, I'm like the rabbit hole kind of guy, but I love what we do. I love the opportunity for it. I'm not in the business of bodybuilding. Again, I sell outdoor furniture and houses. We do bodybuilding stuff because we love bodybuilding stuff. I'm selfishly, my old man wasn't there when I was growing up. Before me, my name didn't mean nothing. Right. Hollingsworth didn't mean anything. So, hopefully we could provide a good experience for athletes, get my name out there, give it a little bit of, it's selfish, right? But give it a little bit of weight, give it a little bit of a, something that way, my son and daughters come up and they say, listen, my daddy did that. We didn't make any money doing that, but he did that. That was cool. So, people say his name, it's all positive.
Gave back to the community, right?
I'm trying to create the show that I wanted to compete in. And I could say the same thing for Kevin DeHaven, Johnny Stewart, Trey Bennett, Joe Pascula, all these promoters that we have in the Carolinas, Mike Valentino, Johnny Grady, Quincy Roberts. We are all trying to create the show that we wanted to compete in. We're all trying to treat the athletes the way we want to be treated as an athlete. And everyone does their thing different. Johnny is with the Charlotte Cup and the Charlotte Pro, these amazing digital screens, it's a whole to do. So again, everyone's just been set out in a task, and we're all jumping off of each other. We're all talking on a regular basis, having roundtables and figuring out if we're going to do these things, how can we do them the best? And I'll tell you, with our natural shows, it has been an all hands on deck situation. It's been conglomerating with NPC promoters from around the country. It's been having conversations with other organizations, pros, other organizations, promoters, saying, all right, well, how do we, what are the things we need to do? Change, mold, and modify. How do we attract an athlete from another organization, have them come here? And I don't care where you compete. You can compete in every organization out there for all I care. All we want to do is provide you an opportunity to do, what we have going on.
There you go. There you go. Well, as we come up on the hour, I want to make sure that people know where they can connect with you, right? So you kind of already hit the date once, but let's just refresh again, right? Upcoming shows within the Carolinas, where can they compete? Where can they find you if they have more questions about the topics we covered today? Just kind of leave the people with a message and where they can find you.
Yeah, everything is Carolina, is an NPC Carolina Natural. So we can go to npccarolinanatural.com. Instagram is NPC Carolina Natural Series. I'm not sure why I did two different things. That tanning guy, Chris, on Instagram. But I would say, find the Instagram pages, find the website, npccarolinanatural.com. That'll be the jump off. My personal contact, my email, my cell are on there. You can send me a text, phone call, whatever it is you want to do. And then we've got the next show coming up. Probably can't see that too well, but what are we? July 27 in Columbia, South Carolina. We're going to be at Columbia College, and we're in this for the long haul. We are. We're in this for the long haul. I don't want to speculate, because people say, why are they all of a sudden doing it? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I mean, I'd be remiss to try to speculate and say how somebody else is, gonna operate and why the organization chose to do it. I would say, as an organization, we're constantly growing, developing, just like any, I like analogies. If I'm a hot dog stand, I can tell you I had the best hot dogs in the world, and there's nobody going to offer a better hot dog than me. But every day, if I got 10 or 15 people that come up and say, I want a hamburger, I could try to sell you a hot dog. But if you're not going to buy it, I either lose you as a customer, or I start selling some hamburgers. I start selling the thing that you want to buy. And that's my speculation as far as why we're in the the natural world now, is that there's a customer base for it.
There's demand there. Yeah.
There's demand. They want it. Again, nothing against, there's plenty of other amazing organizations out there. I've followed them for years, and I think, I think highly of some of their promoters too. I've known for years. It's like when Will Powell, he's got the No Gear Classic in Greensboro this weekend, whenever it is. He was an NPC, an NPC guy, and he was winning our state championships as a drug-free athlete. So the guy I've been following for years. There's amazing organizations and athletes and promoters out there. We just want to do our thing. We want to take our normal show that we run with our brand that is followed by many people, and offer the product that customer wants to buy. And again, that's me. I can't speculate on why anything else, but man.
Right. I'm sure the listeners will appreciate that. I think the message came across well. I think it's a solid message that we've heard a lot. So it seems genuine, right? Like you want to put on a good show, you want to do right by the athletes. And I think us as Natty News can appreciate that for sure. I know I speak for Leroy when I say that, and Dan's kind of nodding there as well. So yeah, so I think that's going to wrap it for the episode. Like I said, we appreciate your time, Chris. Might be having further conversations. Who knows? We'll kind of touch base along the way. I hope this second show goes well for you. And for our subscribers and viewers, thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, follow, share, all that fun stuff. Check out Chris's information, check out his shows, and we will see you guys in the next one.